I find writing really, really hard and really painful, and but I'd like to say, just honestly from the bottom of my heart, that the reason that I do it is this. So it's made it all really worth it, guys.
I don't know, I think you just have to keep trying to stay as present as possible and write as presently as possible, rather than try and second guess an audience or try and please people. Just constantly try and move people rather than impress people.
Basically trying to disarm an audience as much as you can with comedy, and then really punch them in the gut with the drama as when they least expect it.
If people are laughing, they're kind of giving you their heart a bit, so they're sort of asking you to break it in some way, I think. She comes out into the world fighting. She wants to be funny, she wants to entertain you, she wants you to have a good time, but also she desperately wants to connect. And I feel like we can all relate to that to a certain degree, but she's still outrageous and horny and busy and tired, you know, like the rest of us. I was trying to straddle the two genres at once, so I wanted it to present as a comedy and then twist into a drama.
When you laugh, you're really, really vulnerable, and what she does with her writing is she gets you just when you're laughing, and it comes out of nowhere.
People open themselves up to then be punched in the heart.
The deeper she digs, the more gold she finds, and you know, things get just joyous. There are joyous things that are lifted out of that.
Basically trying to disarm an audience as much as you can with comedy, and then really punch them in the gut with the drama as when they least expect it. And I think an audience makes themselves so vulnerable and open to you when they're laughing, or when they allow you to make them laugh, that's when they trust you foolishly.
Your creative partner, Vicky Jones, has said that in terms of your writing process, you want to make your scripts Phoebe-proof, because you have a tendency to, as a writer, always see one step ahead of what's coming. So you kind of intentionally, it's a conscious decision to do the unexpected, is what you mean?
Yeah, completely. I mean, and it's you know, and I think probably a lot of actors have this, but I can predict things very quickly in movies. It used to drive Vicky insane, because I'd be like, she'll be able to speak French. Or I'd be like, she's going to end up with him, or like that building's going to burn down, and I could just feel the structure of things. And so much of the work we did when we had a theatre company and we were producing new writing nights, so much of it was, you know, each new writing night we'd give a brief to the writers, which were to challenge one thing in the audience, like make an audience fall in love with the character, make an audience forgive a character of a heinous crime, or like find something that makes an audience laugh and then makes an audience feel sick for laughing. And we used to do these monthly, and I learned so much there about how to surprise your audience. Because as an audience myself, I only ever want to be surprised in a truthful way, not in a kind of like, but I want to be as surprised as much as people surprise me. You know, people surprise each other all the time. And I think with Claire, you know, she's the one I have most fun with, really, the sister character, because the more you think, oh, this is where Claire would be sort of classically anal about something, and it would be in those moments when I'd be like, but that's where you switch it, and that's when she's actually quite cool about something, or she finds something funny. And I think that's where you key into loving a character, when you think you know them, and then actually they're deeper or weirder or you know, or cleverer than you thought originally.
Hello. So I was wondering, my question's in terms of structure. And I know you said you had quite a lot of guidance from Lydia when you got from stage to structuring it for TV, but I just wondered how you tackled that difference. And obviously you're writing the play, and then that's got a certain structure to it. You transfer that to TV. And the reason I'm asking is because I write scenes and I think, oh, that's a lovely scene, yeah. And then I can't put that anywhere or structure into, I mean, yeah. With the risk of the answer being just be Phoebe Waller Bridge if you want to write an international hit comedy. I just wondered, I'm trying, how you tackled that kind of difference.
God, I was in exactly the same position. You were in scenes, jokes, I have ideas, but they're just fitting them together. I think if you have enough that you can write them on post-its and write them on your wall and just put them together, because I think I've never thought structure first. I've always thought material first, and I think you're the same, aren't you, Vix? And it's how we operate so much. Material first, jokes first, character first, and then we just put them all on the wall. And then honestly, just the game of what if you put this next to this? And usually the more unusual that pairing is with those scenes, or those scenes that you put in an episode, the more interesting it comes, or that something happens when you put two things that shouldn't be together. And then you start pulling a story out of that. This is probably really bad advice, because I know you're supposed to structure first, and then you send it to your commissioners and go, this is the structure of the episode, and just send like a screwed up post-it note going, that's out. But that really, really helped, was just knowing that as long as you're enjoying writing those scenes, then once you've got enough, then start playing with it. I think the hook thing at the end that was really helpful. I growled about that at the beginning. Yes, knowing the end really, really helps.
Yeah.
And then you should just go as far away from the end emotionally as you possibly can. That's my instinct anyway. And I think knowing how and we were doing our dry write stuff, theatre stuff early on, a lot of our experiments were how do you want to make the audience feel? Like, what is the journey, emotional journey you want them to go on? And that really helps me, rather than thinking like, starting off thinking like this would work, A story, B story, C story. It's at this point, if you found a moment, a scene that you know works and it's going to make them feel that you need to hit them with it as a surprise. So then work away from that. And it's very instinctual. Sorry, was that at all helpful? Sorry.
How much do you personally relate? And I ask that because I think when a show like this comes out that feels confessional, and for some reason within our culture, and I think maybe it's just in the United States, when a woman does a show that is confessional, there tends to be this sort of rallying around it as if that's that person and this is sort of their confession. So I ask, how much do you actually sort of relate to this character in the sense of presenting humor over grief, or having like a shield of dark humor rather than sort of exposing your feelings?
Completely and wholly. I feel
Me too.
I relate deeply, really deeply to this character. She's very personal to me, and I mean, some of the jokes and awkward situations have been lifted from my life, but I think the tone and the humour and the wanting to play with the idea that humour covering pain was something that I realised I was really familiar with in my own life. Not the same pain that she's carrying, but just kind of letting things be funny before they're sad, and then realising that was something I wanted to play with, and then building a dramatic story into that. But at the heart of her, like that sense of always feeling like you've got to be on your A game and be in control of everything, and know the answer to everything, and know the answer to all your problems before anybody else does. Kind of, that she's like, I've got this. I'm totally on top of this. And actually,
sort of have to know the game. Like if you're putting humor first, and you're sort of feel like you have to be on top of everything becomes kind of a game, and that's how you can be on top of it. I know the better insult here. I know the way to jibe everybody a little bit more.
Yeah, and being able to say like, I care, but I don't really care. And that's constantly all the way through it. And then hopefully there are moments that she lets slip that you realise, my God, she really does care, and she's and like relationship with her sister as well. I have a sister I'm very close to, and a brother as well, and that whole relationship of kind of sparring siblings who are completely different but totally devoted to each other and can be so horribly cruel as well as kind to each other. I think the depth of knowledge of a character is definitely, when you write it yourself, is undeniable. But really, when I first wrote her, I was writing all the things that felt sort of dangerous to say, and I knew that I could only really give that to myself. Didn't want to give that to anyone else in case it bombed. And then it would be like, that was that bitch's fault, not mine. So I think it was partly that, but also I had this, like, I felt when I was in my mid to late 20s when I first wrote the play, and it came out of a need to play someone who was complex and weird and had these multiple layers and had a persona, and then had somebody truthful underneath and had all that complexity, but it was funny and dark and sort of sexually candid. All of those things were things I desperately wanted to play as an actor anyway. So that's kind of where it was born out of, and I had those experiences before. My first ever play that I performed in was a play called Crazy Love by Che Walker, and he had just written this really angry, posh bride. And but I love that she was angry, because posh brides are like, they're all over the place. But an angry one, and one that had secrets, and that was the first time I'd really felt like, oh, there's something else I can play. And I'd felt the pressure coming out of drama school to basically be a sort of princess. Either like a sexy princess or a not sexy princess. That was like the two things, and in one way or another, she's a princess. No matter what the story is. And so I wanted to play someone who was a kind of a darker version of that. And then going on, I do disassociate slightly when I'm writing because I want to shock myself and surprise myself when I'm writing it. And sometimes, I'll write things and be like, oh, I don't want to say that. But those are the moments that, are feel dangerous and feel truthful. And I think it's actually a good challenge to make me want to play it as well as, write it.
Hi, Phoebe. Hi. I just want to say I found the character very relatable. And she lost a partner, and her family doesn't understand her, and she's just trying to make a human connection.
Yeah.
But the lead is that. Okay, sorry.
We're here. We're here for you.
But the lead on her character is that she's unlikable. Like, why do you think that's the lead on the character? I guess like if it was a man, would it be celebrated her qualities? I guess.
Yeah, I don't think it would be. That would be the sort of tagline of the reviews in the press if it was. If it was a man. I think I don't find her unlikable at all. And I was worried, I was worried that if people didn't see her pain underneath it all, and that her attitude was just kind of dismissive, and she just, didn't seem to care. Like that's clearly what she's trying to make you think. But if we were too convincing and she just didn't care and she was just being a dick, then I think that would justify that. But I think we were careful to build in as much humanity as possible. So it just kind of surprises me when people say unlikable. Maybe not unlovable. I don't know. Also, you can't help if people don't like
It's also,
you.
It would kind of still work if the humanity wasn't there and it was like an episodic show. You would have a kind of Seinfeld or Always Sunny type of character, and you can just sort of apply them into any situation and watch them kind of squirm around it. But because you applied this humanity, it makes her extremely likable. I'm not really sure, yeah.
I think it's the kind of unrelenting smugness that she has at keeping you on side, which I think can probably rub people up the wrong way if they're not sensitive to the fact that it's clearly an act.
I was captivated by this character who said all the things that we think but dare not admit to. And I realised as I was watching it that I am Fleabag.
There's a little bit of Fleabag in everyone, and that there's a little bit of everyone in Fleabag.
Darling, I am Fleabag.
Everyone can relate to Fleabag, man, woman and child.
She comes out into the world fighting. She wants to be funny, she wants to entertain you, she wants you to have a good time, but also she desperately wants to connect. And I feel like we can all relate to that to a certain degree. But she's still outrageous and horny and busy and tired, like the rest of us.
What advice do you have for actors who want to start writing for the first time, to kind of start creating their own work in the way that you have?
Well, do it for a start. Even if you discover that you don't enjoy doing it, or if you don't feel like you're good at it, or if it doesn't go down well, or if you're just not good at it. But I think just try it, because there's something about writing that is. You learn so much about character from writing, and I know a lot of actors that will write themselves letters from their characters and things like that before they actually perform. And I've never been that kind of actor, but I think it's because I want to write as well. But I can see that thing once you're actually writing things down and writing dialogue down, you learn so much more than even in real life. If you write yourself if you just dare yourself to write something truthful that you think, and it feels kind of dangerous because it's like writing a diary that you know no one's going to look in. And that's kind of what it felt like with Fleabag. I just thought, I'm just going to write what will make Vicky laugh, was the first thing, and would make Vicky feel seen, and make Vicky, and having that one person in my head was really helpful. But the advice, I think, is write as if you're not afraid. And the same goes for acting. Act like you're not afraid. Or if you weren't allowed, if someone just said there's no reason to be afraid here, just go for it. And that was the line that I constantly say to myself when I'm writing and acting.
How did you get involved with Amazon? How did it end up working out that way?
So the BBC saw the play in Edinburgh and asked for a pilot, and then we were given about £10 to make the pilot. And
the cost of an Amazon account.
Yeah, exactly. It was 1 month without the free trial, and then
and because it was one of their like this BBC Three kind of comedy feed thing that they call it, and but because we managed to pull in an amazing like crew and DOP and director and everything, because they were just hanging around in London for those couple of weeks, and they liked the script. So in the end, the pilot, which is the first episode, just looked amazing for the budget that we had, because of this amazing team. And then but we knew that if we wanted to keep that level, we'd actually have to like pay them properly. And so my producers went to Amazon and said, look, because they loved the pilot, but they said we can't make it at this level. Like we wanted anamorphic lenses and stuff, which apparently are all really expensive. And they were like, well, we need it. So Amazon came on board and kind of for the episodes 2 to 6, and just really loved it, and just gave us match the budget to help us make the show we wanted to make. And they were so great, because they were just like, we love it, go and make it. You know, without kind of being too overbearing. They were just really sort of creative, friendly. It was lovely.
Having written both comedy and drama, which do you find easier or more enjoyable? And if for the rest of your life you could only do one or the other, which would you choose?
Oh, no, I don't think I could, because I think they're so intrinsically linked. I feel like if there's comedy, if people are laughing, they're kind of giving you their heart a bit. So they're sort of asking you to break it in some way, I think. Because I don't know. I just feel like they're too closely entwined. I found it, when I was writing Fleabag and Crashing, I was like, I just want to write fucking drama. Hate this, like, having to do a tick thing on the page of like, there's like 6 jokes on this page, and it having to be about generating material and jokes was exhausting. But now I'm writing a drama, I'm like, I just want to put a joke in everything. It's like how do I know if it works, or where's the humanity? I think finding the humanity in drama for me has been an interesting journey, because I think people being funny or jokes reveal so much so quickly about a character, but people staring meaningfully down a corridor and then walking with absolutely no sense of humour to go and sign a form. I'm like what's fun about that? but it's important. So I don't know. There's a lot of humour in the drama that I'm writing. So I don't know. I think I just have to kill you if you made me answer that question.